This episode of Top to Bottom is sponsored by Noted Analytics. Are you tired of losing sales opportunities to the status quo? Not seeing meaningful information in CRM to help close deals? Empower your team with Noted Analytics, the first guided selling for CRM platform that uses sales methodologies like gap selling, Medic, and others to revolutionize the way revenue teams capture, evaluate, and measure sales process effectiveness. Start increasing win rates, shortening sales cycles, and growing average sales prices today. Check it out at notedanalytics.com.
And we're live.
Oh, we're live. We're live. What's up, peeps? Welcome to Sales Top to Bottom, where we talk all things sales. We are, can't say daily dose, we're your weekly dose of upping your sales game. I'm Keenan, your host. Becc. I'm with the lovely Becc. Becc, what's my question for you today? I'm stuck. I don't have a question for you today. Who is your favorite host?
No, you decline, veto. You come up with something better than that.
Nope, that's my question.
Wait, so you're telling me that you're the gap seller, the master of questions, and you don't have one question?
I came unprepared today. I came unprepared. What do you think? What do you think about my bobblehead?
These questions are getting lazier. I didn't know that there was an option of going downhill.
Oh, I could go deeper and deeper. I really could.
One question, Keenan.
All right, so I'm moving on. What do you say? Oh, let's get going, shall we? Let's get into the show. Playfulness and humor is not Beck's forte, so we got to get right into the business.
Oh, Keenan, what are your thoughts on the CU game?
Someone who didn't even show up.
I showed up. What are you talking about? Last I checked, the last two of these, we had to adjust for the lovely Becc, so I'm not sure I'm getting pounded for showing up, but I digress. And anyways, that was a great question Min just asked. Ask it again, Min.
What are your thoughts on the last CU game? Against, I believe, Stanford, right?
No, are you a Stanford? Oh, no, you're UT Dallas, guys.
No, I'm UT Dallas.
Yeah, no. So being a Buff fan, that had shades of the past. Like it was painful. But I was at the game. It was a night game. It was cold because it was a night game, and because it's ESPN and everybody wants to make money, it didn't start till 8:30 at night. It's a late time for a game to start. So it was, and we were up 29-0 at halftime. Like, all right, we got this game, and we blew it. So it's painful. It's painful, but you know what? I'm in the long haul. My prediction: CU makes the football playoffs next year.
Okay, and with that, we are on to the first segment of this podcast, which is Email Teardown. This is the segment where Keenan and Becc tear down emails and messages that were sent over to them. Now let's look at the first email. The subject line of this email is special offer for your YouTube channel. Let's take a look. This email reads, "Hello, Flip the Script. I checked your channel and you have a really good YouTube channel. I think you should add animations and designs just to attract more people on your YouTube channel. Let me tell you about ourselves first. We are a team. We make all the necessary designs and animations, video edit, jingles, and music, etc. for YouTube channels, Twitch channels. We have a full package for YouTubers. All the designs and animations required for YouTube are included in our package. Of course, our packages are personalized, but if a full package is not required, then we prepare the package according to our customers' requests. Maybe you get these kind of offers every day, but our difference from others is that we do a sample first. If you like it, we continue to work by making a deal, or if you think there is no need for sample work, we can send you samples of our previous works. And in this way, we can make your YouTube channel more professional by working long-term. We do not take prepayment. We only get paid after we deliver the design or animation, etc. That's why most people choose us. I look forward to your positive or negative response. Best regards." Okay, Becc, what are your thoughts on this email right here?
I mean, I'll call it too low hanging fruit and then pass. You said hello, flip the script, as opposed to addressing it to me. I think that's kind of table stakes as you use a first name, in my opinion. And if you're into payment details, he did say he works long term, and the email was long term because it took about 4 minutes to read. Keenan, what are your thoughts?
Oh my God. I mean, length of it was horrible. The offer to ask was terrible. Like, you want my time, but what am I getting for it? But the biggest observation was, why would I need you?
Mm-hmm.
And he made a claim that said something about, what was the claim at the very beginning? I see you use YouTube, and I think your things could be better or something like that.
I checked your YouTube channel, and I think that you should use animation and designs just to attract more people on your YouTube channel.
So I think you should use animation and design. He or she may be right, but clearly the person putting it up there doesn't think they need it. One of two things. I'm going to break down the psychology, everybody. The person who put up the YouTube video. Oh, that's you, Becc. That was this to you, right?
Yeah.
You use pictures and videos and stuff, do you not?
We use videos
on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, but okay. So they clearly are attacking how you're doing it now.
Yeah.
And if you're going to attack how someone does it now, you either got to explain to them why what they're doing now isn't going to work or getting the outcomes they want, or find out that they'd like to do it better, just don't have the time. But they have no idea what problem they're trying to solve here and how they're trying to connect with you. So there's nothing for me to connect on this email is the bottom line. It was a long, circuitous route to say there's nothing to connect here.
And what do y'all think about the end? I look forward to your positive or negative response on this one.
From a psych view?
Yeah, from a psych view.
Any kind of assumptive close is going to make him redact. So if I say thanks, looking forward to hearing from you, anything like that at the end, they're going to, from a psych view, redact.
Okay.
I think it's stupid.
You think it's stupid?
Yeah. It makes it look salesy.
No, you're completely correct. You're completely right. I don't think we have enough time for a second email, but what do y'all think that this person should do on this email?
We do. Didn't I send you another one?
No.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, hold up. Let me check.
That was not that. Yeah, I can even read. Well, we only have 44 seconds left. I'm going to get.
I like what he said, though. What could this person have done differently?
What this person, if they're going outbound, they're going to have to find it. That's a communication to them that current state is fine for me. The pain's not big enough or the impact's not big enough if I don't solve for whatever the hell they solve for. So they need to find something for me in specific that I don't know, an impact, root cause, problem that I don't know that exists that would create buyer intent once I did know about it. That's what they should do instead.
Yeah, and I think they should be very specific and try to tackle one. Like, I might have tackled this in a way that says, "Hey, look, I saw you." Oh, you got me. There's 16 minutes. I should have known. I looked down at the live one, not the. I should have known. That's on me.
That's what you get for not preparing a question.
That's what I get.
That's what you get.
Okay, well, with that, we are on to the next segment of this podcast, which is
Sales Mythology.
I sent you a second email, and it's way better. It's a bigger whopper. Anywho.
I
We
apologize.
got more of these to do.
Well, hey, this is the segment where Becc and Keenan demystify common myths in the sales industry. And the first myth of today is outbound still works. Keenan, what are your thoughts on this one?
Nope. And the more people try to convince themselves it does, the more in trouble they are. Outbound is not working. It is not working, and people are spending countless dollars, money, etc., trying to turn this outbound engine. And it's costing companies. It's only getting worse.
All right, what about you, Becc? What are your thoughts?
Well, it would come down to the definition of what you mean by works. Like, what did you mean by works for the myth?
I guess outbound.
You define it, Becc.
I don't think that's a myth. Outbound works just fine for me. Outbound
But we're not
works.
talking about Becc, right? Like someone jumped out of a plane without a parachute on and they landed on the ground and didn't die. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you can jump out of a plane without a parachute on. It
Right.
worked for me.
Well, outbound works just fine for my customers. Zing. Outbound works just fine for a handful of people. I think what doesn't work anymore is mass blasting and not finding a problem for them that they didn't know that existed beforehand. So, and the greater question here is, even if outbound isn't working, I think that they're left with no option. Like, if I don't have enough pipeline to hit quota, then I need to make outbound work. So maybe the myth of like, is an SDR role in and of itself truly worth it, as a specialized function, that's a completely different side note. But for outbound to work, 6% conversion rates into close one, 35% for inbound. And the difference there, is they're convinced of a problem that they didn't know, that they know about, that is the impact's high enough or the pain is high enough to where it's untenable in the current state. So I think what you have to do to make outbound work is two things. Number one, you need to find an impact, root cause, or a problem that they didn't know about beforehand, that their current state was tenable according to what they knew. But when you tack in those new impacts or those new, essentially problems that they didn't know about, now all of a sudden their current state isn't tenable according to what they know now. So I think that's the first thing you need to do. And the second thing that you need to do is you need to pattern interrupt and contextualize it to them in specific. I don't care what is happening to generic VPs of sales. I care about what's happening to me that I didn't know about and teasing that out. But I think the reason that outbound, quote unquote, isn't working from the current state is nobody does that. But if you find those, then buyer intent all of a sudden is created out of thin air. So that's why you get a lot of tire kickers who will book meetings via outbound, because the problem's not big enough, but they're like, while I'm here, I might as well go ahead and look into options in case the problem ever is big enough. So I think what you have to do, and I think it's very relatively simple, you just have to find information about them that they didn't know beforehand, and it'll work just fine.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things that's causing for me to say that outbound is dead is because no one's picking up the phone. Okay, I don't care how good your message is, or no one's responding to emails. I don't care, or no one's reading emails. I don't care how good your email is. I don't care how good your outbound calling is. Now we have people with dialers. You can go through 1,000 people in 3 days and some shit like that, and they get 2 pickups. So you can't. And then Becc brought it up, and I applaud her, but we didn't go deep enough into it. You can't build a team of people paid 50, 60, 80, 90, 100K a year who are making 1,000 calls, every 3 days using a dialer with only a 2% pickup, and think you're going to drive enough leads to pay it off. Actually, Becc, you would probably do this, but I read a post the other day, and I can't remember who it is, and shame on me. I think it was Sam something, Goodman or Sam something. Anyways, I read shit every once in a while. And he did a little math equation on what the average sales price should be to have an outbound SDR group. And it came out if your average sales price isn't at least $35,000 to $40,000, you will never make your money back with an outbound motion engine. You just won't. So to me, that says outbound is dead. That alone.
Well, to me, that doesn't get rid of the need for outbound. That gets hypothetically rid of the SDR, but then the AE just has to outbound. So the average connection rate is the average rep is going to make 40 dials a day, yielding 4 connects. Something you can do to exacerbate that average 3-4x it is 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday statistically are going to be the best times for connects, for people to have a call and a conversation. But I think simply put, what's not being done, people are reading emails if it's the right email. They are opening emails if it's the right, there's only 2 things to it. It's like, or 5 essentially. Do they get the email? Do they open the email if they got the email? Do they read the email if they opened it? Are you relevant once they did? And psychologically, you should take care of them along the way. I can get people to read emails just fine if I step outside of the 250 words that are normal pattern words. We're the number one, we work with blank and help blank, do blank, looking forward to it, just bubbling us to the top. You have to use language that's outside of that. Watch your email deliverability. And if you find a problem they didn't know about for them, they will respond. Like I was talking to a guy today, 80% reply rate. 80% reply rate, like that's high. And he's booking 5 to 6 meetings per week. So, and he's a full-time AE, meaning he only spends half of his time prospecting, and his ASP is 12 million. So it's not a small price tag. So I think it just comes down to, are you going to do the things that most people don't do? Outbound, how it's being done today, dead, for sure. We played a numbers game. It worked for a while. Now it's not working anymore. But outbound, how it could be done or how it is done when done well, is alive and well. And like, even if it is dead, they don't have an option. They have to hit a quota. They need more pipeline. What are they going to do? Sit there and just
the option is marketing. The option is marketing.
Like, you got to think, if I'm a rep, even if the option is marketing, what am I going to do about that? Increase.
Yeah, marketing's not doing anything. Yeah, from a rep's point of view, I'm not going to argue. You need to call. But the idea of outbound being dead is the idea that we are supposed to put money into it, that it's a section of the organization, et cetera. I just don't see it paying off anymore. And again, yes, there's the one guy who jumped out of the plane with his parachute didn't open, but collectively across the numbers, people don't have the ability to do it. They don't have enough differentiation in their products. There's a whole slew of reasons why outbound is just not going to work.
All they have to do is find something that person didn't know about. If they do that, they create buyer intent out of thin air, and it will work just fine. But they have to know their buyer to be able to do that. Now, whether people are going to do that or not is a totally different question. But it's like, how I see most people doing outbound is they're trying to attract buyer intent that already existed. The person knew they had the problem. They're like, we work with VPs who struggle with blank. It's like, they already knew they were struggling with blank. You basically serve them an ad and hope to get lucky that they'll, do something about that with you. You're right person, right time. But you need to diagnose something that they didn't know to create buyer intent so that they are willing to do something about it. And they're convinced that they should do something about it with you because you're the one that found it. So that is what's not being done very, very, very rarely. Now, I mean, the ones with acumen, high acumen, are going to be the ones that find those, that create that buyer intent. But like outbound as it's done today, I'd agree with you that it's hard. It can't be dead because they need it to live. But the option for good outbound, the people that I work with, like, it's like telling me Keenan, you don't exist when I'm like staring at you in the face. I see these clients book 4-5 meetings a week, which is just what they need to hit quota. So I just think that people need to shift the perspective and shift their level of acumen and how they're going about it to make it work for them. They have to. There's no option. I'm just to sit there and complain about marketing.
So as an individual person, I agree. But when you run that across an entire now, what you basically said is I think we're arguing the same thing. If you get rid of your entire outbound division or group or whatever you call it, and you got a sales team and they haven't got enough leads, then help them figure out how to fill their time doing outbound where they're not getting the inbound. I agree in that perspective. But from that perspective, I agree because they got nothing else to do. But from a collective, we are building an outbound engine and we have SDRs and we're going to feed these leads. We're going to generate enough business to pay for all of this. You're smoking crack. And even with the AEs, I could make a pretty good argument that money spent on marketing to drive inbounds, I'm going to get punched in the nose in 3 seconds, inbounds, et cetera, is better money spent.
All right. If there's nothing else, then we are on to
one myth. That's it.
Yes, one myth.
We ran that myth into the ground.
Keenan thinks I'm rattled, but I'm not rattled at all. I'm spiced up. I'm like, talking to a rep today who's at 250 against a 30 million quota because of outbound strictly, no marketing.
Wow.
So
how many salespeople in that organization?
Oh, with the entire organization is 21,000 people.
But how many reps? How many sales reps?
I don't know exactly how many sales reps. The person.
So how many of those are crushing it? See, that's again.
I don't know. I was talking to just him.
I understand, and I'm going to concede that there are individuals who have figured it out, but you cannot build an argument on outliers and anecdotes.
But all you should do is diagnose what he's doing and then say, why aren't they doing the exact same thing? It's not like he's like got a network, or like, I was about to say something inappropriate, like doing something nuts on the call, like he is outbounding effectively. So it's like, figure out what he's doing, and what he's doing is those two things. And he's smoking like 250 million against a 30 million quota. That's crazy.
He had one big outlier in there.
Strictly outbound, zero marketing sent to him.
But the mere fact that he sells a product that costs $12 million already tells me that he's in very rarefied air, and he has a very clear target, and it's a very clear understood message. That's an entirely different sell. But anyways, any bahoozy mama. Let's go.
All right.
Let's go, Becc.
And with that, we're on to the next segment of this podcast, which is
Take it or leave it.
this
My
is the
favorite segment.
Oh,
My favorite
yes.
segment.
Oh, hold up.
Hold up. Yeah, to the next episode.
Becc is not in this little thing. Hold
Becc
up.
went backstage. Did you leave us, Becc?
No, I left her. Let me bring her live right here. I'm sorry, Becc. Now let's get on to this next
That's
segment.
what happened to people who disagree with Keenan. They get the cane.
I don't control this, man. Look see, Becc throws me under the bridge even when it's not my fault.
I will give you credit. I think most people think that you would go ballistic if someone disagrees with you. And I'm like, I don't know someone who encourages it more than you.
Yeah.
So like whenever I come at you and disagree with you, it's not like you bat me down or like growl at me. Like you encourage it. But then I get the cane and I have to go backstage.
Now, okay. Anyways, we'll that's another discussion for another day. But Becc knows it better than most people. Most people have 99% of most people who look at my public persona are completely wrong with who I am. 1,000% wrong.
100%. Okay. Well, this segment is called Take It or Leave It. This is the segment where I introduce common sales tactics, and Keenan and Becc let us know whether they would take it or leave it. And the first one of today is building a money-driven sales culture around making as much money as possible. Becc, take it or leave it.
I knew you were going to leave with me. I'm going to take it. We're in capitalism, baby. And like everyone keeps saying like, oh, well, aren't salespeople supposed to help people? I'm like, yeah, but when they help people more and find more problems that they didn't know, they make more money. And sales, I think one element that you cannot take out of it, that everyone's trying to bleed out of it for some reason, to me, it's the people who can't hit quota. They're like, be more human and be more kind. I'm like, there's this competitive nature to sales. It's an objective metric. It's like track versus figure skating. Everyone's driven towards track because it's like, how fast did you run this quarter mile? So if you're saying to take out or it being only money motivated or only about the dollar, then I'm going to say leave it, because there's a lot of other elements. But I don't think that money and quota is only measures just that, like their desire to make cash. I think it also measures their desire to be competitive, always get 1% better, push the needle. And how they can do all of that is by diagnosing something that they didn't know and helping their buyer. So I'm going to take it.
All right, Keenan, what about you? Take it or leave it?
Poor Becc.
He's a
Poor
leave it.
Becc. Bless her soul. Bless her soul.
Gosh. That's what he does when he knows that he's wrong.
The operative word here is culture. That is the operative word. And when you have a culture around making as much money as possible and all about the money, everything else you said goes away. Because a culture is about behaviors and the things that you emphasize and the things that you value. So I agree with you, Becc, that people should be motivated by money and competition and all that stuff, but you do not want a culture based around that. That culture is a Grant Cardone culture. Think about all the people that follow him and think about his persona. It's all about the money and the house, and that's a Wolf of Wall Street culture, right? That is not a culture of any healthy sales organization ever.
All right.
It might be the align. They align. Maybe.
All right. Go ahead.
Keep going.
Next up.
The next take it or leave it for today is strictly outbound tech stacks, like outreach, sales off, and email writing software. Keenan, take it or leave it.
Now, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. Get rid of them. So the idea that you're going to have Outreach and Sales Loft and Lavin, all this stuff built on the front end, when outbound doesn't work, that just increases your costs and puts it over the top. Now, I would be willing to buckle a little if you're in an environment like Becc said, and you have AEs who have at the current time do not have enough business to keep them going, then I would argue you could use that as a stopgap. But I believe very firmly that that outreach is dead, that outbound is dead. And I don't need to spend all this money trying to build all these processes and workflows to get people to pick up the phone or answer an email when they're just not doing it.
Becc, would you like to close us out?
So I'm confused by the question. I don't know what I'm saying, take it or leave it to.
Okay, hold up.
Yeah, you should have got it anyway.
Too smart.
Take it or leave it. Strictly outbound tech stacks.
Does that mean buying only tech that is outbound, or does that mean buying tech that is only outbound?
I believe it's buying tech that's only outbound.
Okay, that the only function of it is outbound.
Yes.
No, just make it as buying them in general. Go with that.
Or buying them in general.
Yeah.
Well, we could start with Outreach, Sales Loft. Everyone you just listed isn't just a strictly outbound software. It's used for inbound too. But even if it was, I'm still a take it. You need something to systematize, speed up, and give infrastructure to your teams, what they're doing, and if nothing else, to give the leaders visibility into what the rep is doing and what the rep is doing that's being the most successful so that they can replicate it across their team. So I'm definitely a take it.
All right. And with that, we are on to the next segment of this podcast, which is
The inbox.
oh, yes, my favorite segments. And to help with this, let me introduce this. This is the segment where Keenan and Becc answer questions from our audience. And to help with that, we have a special new friend.
People on the wall.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Oh,
Yep.
gosh.
Oh my gosh.
We got the new and improved inbox. It's actually a whole post, but
Oh, this is so, you are the man. Now you just got to put up pictures on it now.
100%. They're coming in.
Not the same pictures.
Not the same pictures. I promise. I'll get approval beforehand.
No, I don't get approval. Nope, you just drop it on there. Let's go,
Approval with me, man.
Hey,
Approval with me.
let's see who decided to inbox us today. This one is
It's very Mr. Rogers in here.
That was so sick. Dude, the mere fact is on a post and the little thing is up and you open it, I can see inside it.
Oh
Dude,
yeah.
this
It's
is
on a
my
roller
day.
too.
It's getting so Mr. Rogers in here. Like, it's like,
Oh my day. You made my day.
Well, hey, this one is from Keenan Halemi from HubSpot. He asks, what are some of the things you would think about when approaching a discovery on selling a CRM and finding a problem on why a prospect should replace their existing CRM with a new one? Keenan, why don't you start us off with this one?
Wow. That is a deep question, primarily because I don't know enough about HubSpot CRM and what makes them different, or why I would want to get someone off of Salesforce or whatever, Pipedrive or Zoho, right? So here's my answer, right? Start with asking yourself, what problems do you solve for your buyers or customers better than Zoho, Pipedrive, and whatchamacallit? Then ask yourself, who has that problem that you solve better? Then once you've identified that target, then you want to start asking questions about that problem. So it's really interesting. What's his name? I didn't go all the way into it, but I'm going to give him some credit here. Is Guy, right? G. He did a video on, I'm pointing at you, Becc, because you love him. And he's there in France. He did a video the other day on Instagram, which I thought was really good. And he talked about
him on Instagram because I love him.
Yeah, anyway, so go follow him. Guillaume. He did a video where he said that sometimes mature markets are the best markets to penetrate because the big players they're something to everybody, and they don't really serve a niche very well. As we talked about MailChimp, and then I forget the name of it, but he said there was this new company that came out that found that MailChimp wasn't able to target creatives very well. And so they went after that segment. And so therefore, my assumption of the story is anytime they reached out, they would say, as a creative, I'm sure you struggle using MailChimp, I'm going to make it up, to send video, or as a creative to send high resolution stuff. I don't know that to be the case. I'm just assuming what niche they drew up. So the point to this person's answer is, sorry, Becc, is find out where you're different and then see what problems exist that you solve better and ask your questions around those problems.
All right, Becc, what about you? What do you think about this?
Yeah, so there's two things that you can really niche down to when it comes to it. It's did the original CRM solve the problem that they were looking to solve? Which usually the answer within sales tech is no.
That's good.
Going for a lagging indicator. And then the second one is, did the existing CRM cause a lateral problem where it solved the original problem, but it created a new one? So for instance, Salesforce has a lot of functionality. There's a billion things that you could do with Salesforce. Incredibly, versatile across all teams. You can do invoicing through it, CSM through it. But they usually have to hire someone because no one knows how to freaking use it. Mm-hmm. So another piece is adoption for Salesforce. Like if you want to scatter a room of AEs, then just say the word Salesforce. I don't believe that as is how most people are using it, that they are able to forecast better, or they're able to track their deals to suggest proactive, like something that they should do on a deal to actually closed won it. So I'm going to get binged on this. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to take it. Just horn me now.
You want me to horn you now?
Now. Most of a tech stack's efficacy comes down to not the tech stack itself, but how you're using it. So for instance, if I'm trying to measure a bunch of fields and if I'm trying to solve for more closed won, and how I'm doing that is by trying to ascertain what's going on in the opportunity. And how I'm trying to do that is to get the rep to enter a whole bunch of notes. If I don't proactively suggest to them the fields that I want for them to acquire, like root cause, problem, impact, current event trigger, etc. If I don't put those in the CRM for them to fill out, they're not going to ever put in and fill those out. So I would suggest that from a competitive perspective, what you're always going after is a lagging indicator for the buyer of for an SDR, it's going to be how does the CRM help them book more meetings that can come down to lead routing, playing into sequences, et cetera, which HubSpot does have a strength in. But I would niche down to playbook of how are they currently using Salesforce and double down there. So HubSpot, one of the things that it's famous for that I think is one of its huge strengths is attribution. No one can attribute from a freaking marketing lead of what was their first action or campaign that they took into closed won, where HubSpot has the biggest shot or opportunity at doing that. So I would try and go that angle of attribution. So where they are being successful, they can double down on that to hit their quota. That's the roundabout that I would go on.
Well, okay. With that, we are on to the next segment of this podcast, which is
the challenge.
This is the segment where Keenan and Becc break down a challenging subject within the sales industry. And today's challenge is how to build an inbound/awareness marketing organization. Keenan, why don't you start us off on this one?
Becc, you look confused.
I'm just a little sick. My throat hurts.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was confused. And yeah, there was a woman that threw up on the plane. Yeah. And so I was just thinking I was confused on why this happened to me.
Becc, I think you're a lot like me in that, you're a bit of a hypochondriac because I'm a full-on hypochondriac. And anything happens around me, I'm gonna die.
When something happens to me, I become a baby fast.
I'm kind of like that. I live in the mountains, for those who don't know, and right behind me is BLM, Bureau of Land Management, so it's all open. And it really doesn't matter if it's not like a bears come down and get into our trash, so I have to have a bear-proof trash can, or if my kids don't lock the bear-proof trash can, the bears get into it. So I tell you all this. I have a 3-level home, and on the bottom level by the garage, a big portion of the house, and we have mice come in all the time. So I hate killing things. I do. I let spiders go. I kill flies, but I let spiders go, and I let moths go, and so I try to catch the mice live, right, and then let them go. And this time of year, it's the worst because
you let them go.
I let them go. I drive a mile away and let them go. But this is the time of year that gets to be more of them. And I finally figured out the problem was I blocked how they get in. But I digress. So I caught one live one day. It had been in their trap for a little while, like maybe a whole day. So I had been shitting and pissing this thing for a while. So I went up and I released it, and I forgot the trap in the car for like 6 hours. So I got into the car, and the smell and the aroma, I could feel it go through my whole nasal cavity, right? So of course I panic, because what do you think goes through my head now?
Oh, you got rabies.
No, you can't get rabies that way. There's something called hantavirus. That you get from their droppings in their pee, and it's airborne.
Oh.
And it's got a 38% mortality rate. 38%. So I am now panicked because I'm still within the window of whatchamacallit. From 1 to 8 weeks after exposure, you could get it. So anything that even feels like the fucking hantavirus, I'm like, oh shit, I better go to the doctor. Lethargic, I got the hantavirus. I got pains, I got the hantavirus. I'm dizzy, I gotta go to the I'm convinced.
I have noticed that with either one of us, if you want to get me or Keenan to panic, go the hygiene route. That is the fastest route to get I'm like, when that woman, I had the eye mask on, and I felt her kind of wrestling to my side. And I was like, why is she waking me up? So I take my mask off just long enough to see her in her sleep throw up all over herself and her husband that was next to her. He has to wake her up to let her know that there's vomit in her bangs. And then he looks at me, and all I'm thinking is, it's dark in there. All I'm thinking genuinely is, I was like, I'm going to look down at my leg, because I saw her throw up everywhere. I was like, I'm going to turn on this light, and I'm going to look down at my leg. And if there's vomit on my leg, I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to go with one leg. Thankfully, it didn't. So I literally just turned to the side. I was like, not my business. Put my mask back on and leave.
And that's why you're supposed to fly business.
I know, but I don't have any dough like you, Keenan.
No, your clients do. But anyways, I digress. Okay, we're off. We got to get back. We wasted all this time.
Money bags over there, Scrooge McDuck. I can't fly business.
Yes, you can. You're loaded. You're loaded. Okay, challenge. Here's the challenge, everybody. Here's the deal. I'm a huge believer in a lot of this is trial and error right now. But I believe the next area in sales is the ability to drive more inbounds. But it's not just inbound. It's almost to me like a combination of inbound, ABM, what does that stand for again?
Account-based marketing.
Account-based marketing. Then, infomercial. Like marketing departments have to elevate their outbound marketing game. You literally have to build, in my opinion, a full-on, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost entertainment engine inside. I don't care what it is you sell, but you got to build an entertainment engine inside your organization. Go watch what someone like Red Bull has done. Red Bull sells drinks, but man, their entire marketing is built all around the concept of an entertainment. Now, I understand it's Red Bull, but still, right? You can build an engine that educates, makes aware, supports, engages, right? Through all types of more powerful media and approaches than just a flyer or a landing page. Like, you've got to up your game. And all that money you've been spending on SDRs and BDRs and all those outbound applications, everything, you spend all that money and elevate your marketing game to connect. And this is the key piece. Connect with your buyers, both emotionally, intellectually, and physically around the concept of what it is you sell and how it affects their lives and their business. That's where we need to go in the future, and let these people know who you are, and you build that level of awareness that they just keep coming in. And I'll tell you, well, no, I'll leave it at that. There you go. Becc.
Oh, come on. Out with it.
Media brand. Thank you very much, Christensen. Media brand.
You're saying I'll tell you. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to, because I don't think they actually did it. They're benefiting from brand awareness. But brand awareness is far more important now than it's ever been before. Awareness is absolutely critical because there are so many, when people are out on LinkedIn and Instagram, you're being pounded with so many choices and so many examples of the same thing. Everybody should go back and read, what's that one with the ants have megaphones? The Long Tail. Go back and read The Long Tail. Okay. I think we're forgetting. When I used to go to the grocery store as a kid, you basically had 2 or 3 choices. That was it. Now Harry's comes out, and then all these other people come out, and you can buy your razors online. I have friends who are going out. I'm doing this right now, actually. You can go to Alibaba, and you can find all kinds of shit pre-made and just slap a label on that, right? And you can literally create a brand. In skiing, there's a brand called Dope, and it's called Montec. Basically, the same company. And they just went and found all this pre-made shit on Alibaba, slapped their thing on it, and marketed the fuck out of it. Just a massive marketing engine. They didn't design their stuff. They found stuff that was already being created by these manufacturers in China. And then what do? They marketed it like crazy. Now, of course, it's cool, but still, they market it like crazy. They've got this whole brand, and now they're challenging the traditional ski wear folks, right? So my point being is awareness is everything, everything. And those who have awareness win. And what I was going to say is Sandler. Sandler is nowhere close to being the product that it should be. But their awareness over 60 years that they're maintaining is why they still do well, right? So if you can create awareness and elevate your game, even if everybody knows who you are, but get more and more awareness for a thing, for an approach, you will create way more inbound and leads than you ever will through an outbound calling perspective.
All right, Becc, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, if it's the challenge around inbound marketing and driving that, I'll bring up 2 challenges or 2 missteps that I think I see companies doing often. The first is they don't focus on education or having an actual perspective that works on the topic or the problems that they're trying to solve. So I think that best case scenario, people are getting the right answer for the wrong reasons. They're like, how can we get people to buy more product? Okay, we should talk about this problem. But I'm like, you should reverse the map. You should start talking about the problem and educate people on a perspective or data or statistics around that subject matter. So they came for the education, and they are willing to believe that they'll continue to get education by using your product or talking to a sales rep. So I see most people doing really glittery stuff or really loud stuff or really funny stuff or skits around sales. And I'm like, yeah, that's funny and you might get a like, but you're never going to get a SVP from Splunk to take you seriously unless you're teaching, educating about something that they didn't know beforehand, that they believe in their core will drive better results. Second thing, and I'm going to be very short about this, around driving inbound marketing that I've seen multiple companies fall into the trap of recently. They believe that community is to drive inbound leads, and community, simply put, is a nurture strategy.
Yeah, 100%.
Customers who have already freaking bought and to nurture them. That's it, man.
Yeah.
Voila. No reliefs.
Parlez-vous français?
Oui, on peut.
Well, you know
Don't
what?
poo. Don't poo. She
Don't
said I
poo.
poo. On poo.
Okay, well, with that, we are on to the next segment of this podcast, which is...
Oh, listen, just one more thing.
This is the last segment of our podcast where Becc and Keenan share what's on their minds and give us their closing thoughts. Now, Becc, what is your one last thing for this week?
He thought about that long and hard. He was like, whatever, man.
Hey.
Dead.
Oh, I should just disappear from here.
On a side note, this is interesting, and I'm going to go on one last thing. There's a number of French words, and I'm like, interesting. One of them is, did you know souvenir means to remember in French?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I like that.
Interesting. Anyhow, my one last thing, and I'm not going to give Keenan options anymore because then he just bats them right back at me. My one last thing is, a couple weeks ago, I was in London for training. And I picked this apartment because to rent, because I thought, for some reason in my head, I'm like, this looks like where Dickens would live. I thought that in my head.
In France?
No, it was in London.
Oh.
In London. So I was like, this just looks like somewhere.
Oh, you meant to rent while you were there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, went to London for a training. And I'm like, I need to rent a place or apartment or hotel room.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to rent this place because this looks like where Dickens would live. Even though it was impractical, meaning I could only rent it for 3 days and I was there for 5, I rented it. And I go there and I'm there for a couple days. And on the second or third day I was there, I was going for a run. And I noticed it across the street that it says Charles Dickens Museum. And I'm like, what? And so I go into this museum, and it is Charles Dickens. For those of you who don't know, he's #1 writer, author for me of all time, by far. Quite a margin.
You never read Great Expectations. That's a whole different story for another day.
I have read Great Expectations. It was just when I was 17. It's probably my least favorite Dickens book.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
But anywho, I go in, and it is his actual house. So that is where Dickens lived.
Next door, across the street.
Across the street. Straight across the street.
Premonition.
4 hours in there. There was 3 Dickens historians that were supposed to be like helping people around, but all of a sudden I'm in a crowd with me and these 3 historians, and they're just spitting facts. Very interesting facts about him. Probably the best 4 hours I've had in a long time. I'm going through his house. There's his desk there where he wrote Great Expectations and A Tale of Two Cities. He started Barnaby Rudge in that house. I mean, like, his study, there was even a mirror where he used to sit down and role play all the characters in his book with his face. The reason I'm telling the story is I wondered after that experience, I'm like, I picked that apartment because it just felt like it was him. And I could tell just from being such a fan of his and reading him so much that it was where he would live. I could tell by the feel of it. And so I'm wondering in my own head at this point of like, do I know my buyers that well? Do we all know our buyers that well? That we would know what they would like, not like, do next, want? Do we know the small quote unquote details that help them know that we know them as much as them and even more than them, so we can guess the next step to help them avoid something? So it's kind of exposing to me that I'm like, if you were to ask me the same thing about where a seller would hang out or gravitate, I don't know if I'd be able to call it as well. Specifically for sales enablement, definitely for sales operations. So I know that that's a weird tie. My push is even if you're not there, to go on that evergreen journey to where you can feel the impacts and situations that buyer would want to solve, so that they feel like you're one of them that knows more about them than even they do. That's my one last thing.
All right, Keenan, what about you? What is your one last thing for today?
Based on where I hate to say where the economy is going, because I don't like that. Based on the state of selling today, and based on the expectations, et cetera, I want every salesperson to process this and hold this steer. When you're selling to somebody today, they're going to need a damn good reason to change. And if you can't help them figure out why they should change, you're not doing your job. And so if you think the reason they should change is because your product has XY features, or you think the reason they should change is because you're offering a discount, you got your head up your ass.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is what we're lacking today. This is my one last thing, folks. Understand and accept the fact that nobody's going to buy your product unless there's a damn good reason for them to change. And that is your job as a salesperson to highlight why there is a good reason to change and why they should change to you. And if you're not doing that, or if you're a leader and your sales team cannot do that, and you can't go into your CRM and actually quantify why they should have to change, you're failing everybody. And too many organizations are failing today. It's time we stop failing.
I have
All
something.
right. Oh,
Lisa, I want some more.
Lisa, I want some more. There you go. There you go.
well, hey, that's our podcast.
Got it at the museum.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for showing up. That's another episode of Sales Top to Bottom. I'm your host, Keenan.
And I'm your more fun host, Becc. See you next week.
You know what they say, if you have to say it, it ain't real.
Thanks for watching the Sales Top to Bottom podcast with Keenan and Becc. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more sales content. And if you'd like to see us live, find us on Keenan's LinkedIn Live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is Sales Top to Bottom, signing off.